right. Good morning, and everyone, welcome to Power 30. Today, we're going to be talking about contact and invite, which is a really key principle in sharing this amazing X39 patch. We are Cindy and Jens Brennison, and as our leaders are on here with us or watching the recording, I want to introduce Lynn Millette coming to us from Georgia today, and she's going to do the opening. So, Lynn, welcome and thank you for being here and everyone else.
Yes, and thank you, Cindy and Jens, for having this format because it enables us to go over a few things. And I am going to just touch base a little bit about how you contact, because people are always saying, how do I contact? How do I contact? And Patty's going to do a little bit about the form. So
Awesome.
what I'm going to start with is God meets us in ordinary places.
Yeah.
And I love that. I was doing some research this morning, and God does meet us all in ordinary places. So, what we're going to do is we're going to pray before we go out. And I have a short little prayer that I say, before I know the way, Lord, you promise your presence. Before I feel ready, Lord, you reveal who you are, and I trust before that you go before me. So if I'm going to be prospecting, I'm really prospecting all the time. So no matter where I go or where Guy and I go, we're always consciously talking to people. So, maybe that's not you. Maybe that's you need to know, where should I go? Where should I go and what should I say? So some of the main places, well, for me, are stores. Because that's the main place. That's where I go a lot. But there's churches, there's events, there's Bible studies, there's
Jim.
gyms. Yeah, I have that written down, the gyms. And so I'm going to give you a couple of opening lines. For me, I don't usually have a problem talking to people, but if you do, here are a couple examples that you might be able to say to open a conversation. Um, so you might say, "Oh, excuse me, have you tried this before?" I'm going to give you a couple examples. I was at Walmart, and there was a lady there, and she was looking at I was getting some cream or something. And I said, "Oh, have you tried this before?" And she said, "No, I usually use such and such." And I said, "Well, you look so beautiful. I'd love to know, how you do that." And then we ended up starting a conversation. I complimented her and she complimented me. And I said, "Well, actually, my husband and we're working with people that value health and longevity. Is that something you want to hear more about?" And then, of course, she'd say, "Well, yeah, or maybe she won't say yeah. Maybe she'll say, oh, no." And that's okay. So after that initial contact with them, I become a little bit silent, which is hard to believe, but I do. So I become silent and then let them speak,
Mhm.
and then you kind of get an idea. And my goal isn't to convince anybody of anything, it's just to introduce. So another line that you could say is, "Oh, I love your haircut. Where do you get your haircut?" Of course, this is Jen, so you're probably not going to say that. "I love your haircut. Where do you get your haircut?" "Oh,
You girls have an advantage on us a
yeah,
little
we
more.
do." And then I might say, "Oh, do you live here in Noonan?" And then I might say, "Well, my husband and I used to own a business here, and now we're looking to help people that value health and longevity. Is that something you want to know more about?" So when you say health and longevity, you're kind of covering a lot of bases there. And usually somebody would say, "Well, what do you mean? What is that about?" And then I'd say, "Well, I represent a company that does non-transdermal stem cell patches. Have you ever heard of that?" Then I'm quiet. And listen, I don't have a lot of time, but is this something you might want to know more about? And then they say yes or they say no. And if they say yes, I'll say, well, would you mind, why don't we connect? Would you mind giving me your information? And I mean, almost always they say yeah, they'll give the information. I mean, I would say 98% of the time, somebody will give you their information. But when you're talking to them, you're looking at them. First thing you're doing is in the morning, you're smiling, you're happy. If you're smiling at people, they are drawn to you. I just find that is so amazing. But if they are interested in hearing more, I then get their information. I give them my phone. They put their information in there. I don't say, can I have your email? I say, would you mind giving me your information? Because probably 80% of the time they're going to give me their phone
Mhm,
and their email.
mhm,
And then I say, okay, well, and then right then while I'm talking to them, I text them. Because then I have at the top of my text, I have their name and their number, and now they have my name and my number. So, like Guy and I were at IHOP eating probably what we shouldn't. Sorry, Lila. Anyway, so we met this couple and they had a cute little baby, and we started talking to them. And he said, I own a dealership. Well, they were a young couple. So then, of course, that was Guy's cue, and he talked to them. But they live in Noonan and they own a small business. And I said, are you interested in hearing about an additional income? That's how I talked to him. And he said, well, yeah, what is it? They always want to know, what is it? And I say, well, we're actually in the health and wellness business, and we help people with energy, vitality, and a lot of things. And we represent a company that's 21 years old. I like to say that.
mhm,
And the Navy SEALs and Olympians are all wearing the patch. And so I'd like to share more information with you. Would you give me your name? Would you give me your information? Sure. Hand him the phone. Then I text him right then. Then he is interested because he texts me back and said, well, you didn't tell me what the name of the company is because I didn't tell him anything.
mhm,
So now I have a chance to follow up, which I tried. This is just recent, so I'm using this as an example. I tried to call and he didn't answer, but I did invite them to the Zoom tonight. And I said, this will give you an overview of everything that we do. So that is, a simple way to contact and invite. Some of the other questions you might ask them, oh my gosh, this line is taking forever. Do you shop here often? Is it always this crowded? Um,
yeah,
well, they're going to answer. Well, when they answer if they're friendly or not. I mean, if they're not friendly, if they're not open to talking to you, you're going to know that right away. So, the other thing is, Cindy and I talked about this, and Patty and I have talked about this. Costco is a great place to contact. There are people that when you leave Costco, they're selling roofing and air conditioning and all that. And those guys don't make a lot of money and they're sitting there all day. And we have already sponsored one and have one person interested there. Also, and we just say, hey, how long have you been selling these? I mean, you just talk to people.
mhm,
Uh, you might want to go in Costco to the collagen section. Oh, have you tried this collagen before? How's this working for you? Well, I don't know, but I am actually wearing a non-transdermal stem cell patch. And do you know that it increases my collagen 7 times what the supplement increases? Really? Okay. Then I met a guy, he was looking at copper socks, Tommy Copper socks. And I said, did you know that we represent a company that um, uh, helps generate your copper in your own body? No, I never heard of that. Well, let me get your information. Would you mind putting your information in my phone?
Mhm.
No, I'd like to hear about it. Or, no, I'm not interested. And that's okay. I'm not there to convince, I'm only there to invite.
Yeah.
Um, let's see. Oh, I wrote down, Steve and Gina said in the book, in their wonderful book that they have on how to, their action plan book, they say, it's so true. And I have said this so many times, you can't say the wrong thing to the right people. I mean, how many times have I told you, Cindy, or you, Patty, oh, I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have said that. I'm probably not going to hear from these people. You just cannot say the wrong thing to the right people. And then, oh, there's the action book. Thank you, Cindy. It's on page 78 and 79, by the way. Um, and then they also say in that book, it's not how good you are, it's how many people you talk to and how many people you expose it to. It just doesn't matter. You know, if you look at the number game, it just doesn't matter. It just, what matters is who you talk to, not who you talk to, but how many you talk to, because you're going to know right up front. This couple that I was just mentioning to you guys, which was fun at the IHOP, Guy said, I would have never talked to them. You know, and that was exactly right, you know, because it was a young couple. They were there having breakfast with their baby. They didn't look successful. I didn't know if maybe they were Spanish or not. But how I started was I started talking to the baby. And then, you know, that led into, oh, well, what do you do? I did. He was a little surprised, but I said, well, what do you do? Well, then he was going to be boastful about what he did. And I said, the wife's name was Anna. And I said, oh, my daughter-in-law is Anna. I said, isn't that a coincidence? You know, I'm trying to build a relationship. And
Mhm.
then I said, do you stay home with the baby? And she said, yes, I do. So when I talked to them and I said, may I have your information? And then I will send you some information. He said, well, maybe Anna can, I said, we're going on a Zoom. This was last week. We're going on a Zoom tonight. And he said, well, maybe Anna can get on the Zoom. So, you know, you just have to keep that door open. Um, one of the things I wrote down is never, ever explain what you do at that first contact meeting, because that's what we all try to do. I mean, I may show them a patch and I may give them a hint of what I do. I may talk about health, vitality, energy, or in my case, longevity, but I'm not going to explain how the patch works. Um, then the other thing is don't chase silence.
Mhm.
If you're talking to somebody and you're talking, and they're silent, you know, don't chase that because they're probably not interested. Um, so let's see. Patty, you want to talk a little bit about form? Because that's what you were, uh, it's something that we learned a long time ago in network marketing, and it's perfect to kind of put that in your head.
Yeah.
Well, hi guys. Yeah, you know, long time ago, I was how I had to learn to talk to people is the company I started with when I was 19 threw me out into San Diego with a Thomas guide and said, go drum up business. I had no idea what to do or what not to do, but like Lynn said, and the form, the family occupation, recreation, and a nice motivational type or encouraging message type of thing, is pretty much what Lynn just said. If you smile when you're out, if they're receptive, they're going to smile back. That means you already have a little open line of communication. And to say, oh my gosh, your baby's so cute, or oh my gosh, you got 3 kids, you got a lot of energy you have to expend. Something just to get them and show them that you care. They want to feel cared about and they want to feel a little empathy and they do not want to be sold. They do not want to be sold. So never go in, and I'm telling with Lynn too, pushing the business. I'm going to piggyback on Lynn's Costco thing. So I went into Costco, a couple of good, a couple of not so good, but it's okay. Numbers. I went into Costco and saw 3 young men selling Zephyr Hills water. And they had a pretty big presentation there. And I went, oh my gosh, Zephyr Hills, that's a great water. I said, I love that water. And said, oh, do you want it? I said, no. I said, I'm pretty set up. And I said, so then it was a conversation. Well, how long have you worked here? Blah, blah, blah. And I said, do you like working here? You know. And so I said, well, tell me a little bit about your background. What do you do? What have you done? So the other two, one guy locked eyes with me. He was the one that I wanted to talk to. The other two walked away and said I was a crazy old lady under their breath, I'm sure. But
Well, they didn't actually say that, right?
but that's okay. Well, they said it in an inside voice.
Yeah.
So I'm watching him and he is laser focused with me. And I said, oh my gosh. I said, is this your career? He goes, oh no. I said, well, what do you want to do? And he said, well, I don't want to do this. So I said, I have something you might want to look at. And he said, what is it? So I pointed to my patch and I was carrying something. I had something in my arms, so I went and sat it down. And he said, what is that? Okay, we talked a little bit and I said, let me send you a link. I said, I can't explain all this stuff. I said, just let me send you a link. And if you're interested, let's just connect. I want to see if you want to hear what you think anyway. So he did connect. Come to find out, he had a pretty severe disorder I wasn't aware of. And he did get in. He did start coming to the meetings. He's very excited. And, it wasn't like Lynn said, the best piece of counsel from this whole thing is you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. Those other two guys didn't want anything to do with what I said. Didn't matter what I said, but he did. But he
Well,
did.
Patty,
And
I was just going to interrupt for 1 second because when I said I get their information and immediately send them a text, hi, this is Lynn and Guy Millette, or this is Lynn Millette, I don't send the this is it info.com with that original text. I do not send that. What I do is I call them or reconnect with them, and then I would give them the information. So,
and truly, and it depends on the person.
correct.
Because I learned something from somebody at church, and I thought, wait a minute, that's kind of cool. So she met me, a really brief meeting. We had a nice little exchange, but she said, oh, well, let me put your number in myself. Wait a minute, let me get a picture of you with your number. Then I'm going to remember who you are. So I started doing that. And people kind of look at you going like, okay, it's lighthearted, it's fun. But when you're out, just be human. Your goal isn't to just to contact somebody and get into the business that second. It is a process. And I think we all have to, including everybody, we all have to keep sharpening our skills and learning things that we didn't know before, right? To get some things done. And another really big thing, and this is hard for, Chatty Patty here, is to listen 80% and talk 20.
Right.
Because then in that putting a muffle over your mouth, you're actually showing them that you care and you're listening to them. And people are deprived of feeling important today. So it's really a good thing to just find some common ground and be excited. They're either going to think you're crazy or you got something going on, and both are okay. And, we just don't ever really know that the whole interaction is truly about them. It's just truly about them. So, be human, be respectful, talk to somebody like you were talking to your friend's husband or your girlfriend, and just, I didn't ask him where he got his hair cut, Jens, but
You never know. So there's 2 people that we've sponsored from Costco. So we've talked a lot more, but that's
well,
2 people.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was in Fresh Market the other day. And this lady had this top on. She was checking out, so there wasn't a whole lot of time. I said, "Oh my gosh." I said, "That is so pretty." She said, "I could never find anything in the store." So now she's talking.
Yeah.
She's just, it's just being kind. It really is. And I got hooked into wanting to make a connection, for the business right away. And then I realized that's just not really what it's all about.
Right.
It's not. So I do things a little differently than Lynn does. I'm bolder in a different way. You know?
Well, everybody's got to find, that's why we're trying to talk about this, because we're trying to give some ideas of
Yeah,
what you can say to make an initial contact.
yeah,
And then I wrote down, listen, sometimes after you've made that initial contact and they give you the number, if they don't give you the number, that's okay.
yeah,
Just say, well, thank you for your kindness today. I
right.
hope you have a great day. And so in the follow-up, a lot of times they want a text. So I wrote down, this is not for everyone. And I prefer a conversation rather than a text because I'd like to tell you a little bit more about it. Sometimes I say it's not for everyone because then, they wonder about that conversation. Or this is a wellness approach that's helping a lot of people. And it would really be a lot easier if we had a short conversation. Would you prefer a quick call or coffee to meet for coffee? So a lot of times I'll give them a question. Would you prefer a quick call or you want to meet for coffee? And I gave them a question that I want the answer to one of those answers.
For
I
the
don't
other,
leave
yeah.
it open. Um, or I may say, well, if they won't do a conversation and Cindy uses the voice text, which is so wonderful,
Yeah,
I
those
say,
are good.
we have a short Zoom and it's on Monday night at 7 o'clock. And this is really going to answer any questions you have, because they're going to go on the Zoom. And then if I do send them, which I do sometimes, send them the this is it info. I wouldn't say that's my first choice always, though. But if I do that, it's just going to divide the men from the boys and to see if they're interested. And if they're not interested, that's okay. I think that's the big takeaway is if they're not interested, it's okay.
Do you find that sometimes when you're dealing with men out there instead of women, your approach is a bit different?
Um, well, the people that I approached at Costco, that was a guy.
Well, me
Um,
too. Me
the
too.
the couple that we approached, it was a guy and his wife. We just sponsored a couple that we met at Texas Roadhouse. They were passing through, and we ended up sitting at the bar to eat because it was so crowded. And we struck up a conversation, and they live in down in Pensacola and they were very interested. So we went ahead and uh, followed up with them. I did the same thing. I got their information. I told them a little bit more about the stem cell patch, and we got their information, followed up, and they're on board. Now, are they
And
going to build? I don't know yet. I'm building a relationship with her. And so I just am not sure.
well, and I think if someone is praying, quietly praying to be able to sleep through the night, to not be dragging all day, to get rid of all the cloudy fog that's in their mind, their radar is up. You
Mhm.
just don't realize it. Their radar's up. So when you say something that's going to be a connect word to them, they will be like the young men. They will be like the couple you met. They will be interested
Right.
because everybody really is, and Cindy said this so many times, everybody's praying for something. They just don't tell a lot of people about it. So then we're the messengers.
That's it. You can't say the wrong thing to the right people.
That's right. Wow, you all,
Yeah.
this has been so powerful. I have notes on the things that you said that stand out or I want to make a comment on, but thank you. This is so foundational. You all poured your heart, but you poured your experience and you were transparent. It is so beneficial. And I know that those that aren't on are going to read from the recording. There were a couple of things you said, and I wanted to extend it. Like Lynn, when you mentioned the voice text, I love voice texting because it's personable. If I can't pick up the phone and call them at 8 in the morning, but I can send them a voice text, to me, it's warmer. The other thing I love about voice text is if they listen to it, it disappears. Now, do I know if they listen to the whole thing or not? No, I don't always know, but usually they respond. The other thing is if they keep it, I see that too. To me, that shows a little bit of interest, and generally we get response from those. Lynn, when you said not convince, only invite, I can't even impress how important that line was for everything we're talking about today. No one, Patty, you said it, nobody wants to be sold, and people might say, "You're so passionate." And I'll say, "I am. I am. I'm so passionate." And it has to do with my own background. I've come from health and wellness, and I know what happens. We're all human and we're on this journey. Um, and when you were talking about going in Costco, I think it was Patty, you said there were three, but really only one focused in. He was your one. And if we keep in mind a couple of things, we're only looking for one.
Right.
I mean, when you think about
Mhm.
it, we need those three legs. But right this moment, I'm only looking for one person. And why do I say one? Well, the book of the month that's talking about availability,
Right.
and being available, the key to that whole thing is presence. It's difficult sometimes when you're doing the presentation that you all are talking about building that mini relationship, earning the right to be heard, listening to them and finding out, are they looking? It's difficult if you're not present. And so being present with that one, is the key to what that is a lot to do with everything that you said today. And I don't know if y'all remember because you brought this up without these exact words, but this is a word picture, not being the library where you're pushing all this
Mhm.
information on them, especially in the initial visit, like you made clear, but being the librarian. So we're on that mini relationship, we're earning the right, we're complimenting them, we're edifying them, whatever it might be, and giving them our presence and our attention, but not overwhelming them on the first visit or the first touch. But then that next step is we're the librarian, we're the copy and paste. This is one of the things that I feel like is coming back to me over and over is that we're probably not relying enough, which means we're not leading enough or teaching enough on back to the action plan, back to the team website, back to the trainings, because every single thing we're all feeling weak on is in all of those areas. And that's something that we can be not only using, we can be handing, go, hey, look at this. Our new people that say, I'm not really sure I know what to say. I understand what you're saying. And find that little spot that's what they're addressing. And I'm going to point those out before we close. Um, Patty, what you said about the picture, I love that. And over the holidays, I had a gal say to me, no, 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 you don't want my picture. I want you to take our picture, like her and I want you to text that to me. And I'm like, that was genius because some people are like, oh, well, I'm not really, I don't look great today or something like, I don't either. But when you're like, oh, let's take our picture together. And so there's another option depending on who they are because you're trying to build that mini relationship. And I think for me, like you all are describing, the relationship is so priority because I don't know yet what they're praying for. I'm going to ask them questions, but for me, I want to deliver kindness. I want to deliver presence, but I really am looking at, I don't have enough friends in my life. I want more friends. I always want more friends. And so as I'm building those friendships, I'm also seeking out who might just be a friend. Like maybe we're going to start as a friend. Maybe today everything's perfect in their life. They don't want health. Their things are perfect. They don't want not thinking about longevity. They don't want one more thing to do. They're not thinking about earning income. So maybe I'm going to start with a friendship or relationship. I'll use the example of, being in a new church. You're not looking to go in and sell everybody the batch, but you are looking to be a part of that community, that family. And then as they get to know you, they know that you carry something, possibly that is beneficial. The other thing that happened to us just a few days ago, we were sharing with someone who asked a question about the patch, and it was a gentleman. And then the lady and her husband, but it was the lady that heard the conversation, walked up and said, I think I need to know about this too. So sometimes it ends up being that person, like Andy Hosier was overhearing who Ken Burke was prospecting, and then Andy was the one who took off that one. But sometimes it's both of them. So we actually have both of them that are interested. Um,
Cindy, can I say one thing?
absolutely.
One thing that I have really failed at, and I think a lot, yeah,
Hello, I wish I only had one.
and I'm sure a lot of you feel the same way. When we go ahead and get people on the product, and a lot of people just want the product, we are not following up with those people. Those people that are on the product, like this couple we met at the bar there, eating our dinner, those people, I have been building a relationship with her. She is on the product. Her husband's not yet on the product. And then we've been talking about a recipe or how to cook this or whatever. And I'm calling her often and trying to get her on the Zoom. She hasn't made it to a Zoom yet, but she hasn't said no.
Yep.
But
And she's
I
not
think
ready.
I
She's
miss
just
so
keeping the
many
door open.
people. I miss so many people
Yeah.
that I have sponsored that were users,
Mhm.
but because I didn't continue a relationship with them, I missed them and I missed out on the possibilities of them.
Yep. And that goes back to a great reflection of the relationship first, because otherwise it could feel like more like their value is in getting their patches for us. So
Right.
people should feel important. It's important for us to help people feel important. I think that takes me to one of the things that Mario did on Saturday is my dream is to help others succeed. This is the slide he had up.
I know, it's
Like that
great.
was so good because that is a dream we have. And we want to not just have our dreams be all about us. I mean, there's dreams that touch other people's lives. And I loved this when he shared it. And one of the things that when I said a minute ago, I feel like we're missing some things that there's so much available to us, and we might be needing a refreshment to remember that it's all right there. So this is it, team 10-step system. Um, this is right in this is it team right here. You're going to thisisitteam.com, and the fifth step of the 10-step system. This is massive because we have videos that are actually talking about the 10 steps. We have the hold on a second, my slide's not, I'm going to stop the share a second because my slide's not working properly. We also have, when we stop and think about it, we have all of these things. Look at these first five that go down to contact and invite. Your why. That's so important. We're trying to find out their why we're talking and asking questions. And not just our why, but what's their why as we're talking? Are they praying? What were they praying for? And all of these things that we have available to us right in our site. And then back to the action plan. Would in the action plan, page 49 and 50, as you all eloquently described today, would you like to have healthy active stem cells? That's a great question that addresses the health, but I a lot of times lead, like yesterday I was in UPS and this gal, she was a mess, but she was the cutest thing ever. And I thought she's probably mid 20s and she ended up being in her 30s. And she's a professional wedding photographer who travels all over the world. And my question to her was, as we met each other and had a couple sentences, are you open by any chance to other ways of earning income? And that's
Mhm.
how I found out she was a photographer for weddings, traveling around the world, and was over it because that consumed her Thursday through Sunday traveling. And I thought that was huge.
Well, that first question's hard to say no to. I mean, if they say no to that, well, it's pretty much next.
Yeah. And then just to reiterate on what a great job Mario did on Saturday, these two slides were massive. They were really big because what you all talked about was the personal growth. It was about being, you know what it is? It's being willing to grow yourself through the books, through the Zooms, through the practicing. That's what you just described today. We don't get better unless we practice.
Yeah,
And we got to
right.
practice and know that we're just coming in to be a blessing and offer um, that invitation, as you said, Lynn, and maybe it's just the invitation to start a friendship. The other thing was he covered the contact and inviting and how we do it right out of the action plan and our team site. And what you talked about too, the follow-up. I love, for me, it's really important to me. I start on the very first visit that I am getting them enrolled. I am going to be listening to them when I ask a couple questions, and I'm going to say to them, I know that you have somebody you're thinking of right now. Lynn, the day we talked, remember, that's exactly what you said. And after you boldly said, like I had done, I'm not going to build a business. I've learned, don't, just like you said, don't use that word possibly. Maybe you do, but most of the time I don't anymore. I'm telling them you can get your product paid for. I know others, in the company, they just happen to give us 9 ways to earn income and incentive trips, but I don't know if that's for you, and you don't have to decide that today. But when they start naming people, and the gal that was over standing to the side of me that heard me talking, Jensen and I talking to this other person, when we did her and her husband and the two of us did a Zoom, the first thing she said to me was, this product has got to go to my friends. I would have never dreamed. So there we go with the judgment. I would have never dreamed that she might be thinking there's so many other people that need to know about this. And somebody's saying, I hope this is recorded. Yes, it's recorded. We have recorded it. I knew that Lynn, and I didn't know Patty was going to share, and I commend you for your teamwork, leadership, and what you did today. It was incredible. This should be a Saturday training, but
Oh, that's
I
so
knew they were going to hit a home run. So yes, it's recorded. And as leaders, they took this upon themselves to pull it together. See, what they said about you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. It's so true, but you can't flub up because we're all in the same place. Some of us are a little earlier, some of us a little later, but we all came from a walk of life that we've got skills and we've got experiences. And so every single thing we're all doing may not be identical. We may not be in the same place in our growth, even, but there's some nugget that no matter who's speaking, if you really hone in, even the person you're inviting that doesn't even know what you do yet is going to give you something that you'll walk away with and implement in your own personal life somehow. Maybe, because this happened when I got my teeth cleaned the other day, it's just telling you where you can find that beautiful pair of shoes. There will be something if you tune in and listen. So
good.
back to the main challenge of, did you commit to those next 10 people? The power of 10, that might feel like this massive commitment. You're just committing to go out in what they said, invite, bless, be that messenger of hope. Touch 10. And I love what Kathy Nation says. I don't allow myself anymore to just go for touching 5 a day. I have to actually engage with 5 a day. And there's a big difference between that. But this is found on the thisisitteam.com downloads. And I want us all to, I love what you said, Lynn, because I feel so strongly about this too. Just challenge us to get in the mindset that we are out all the time. You're not thinking of yourself as that salesperson, or I got to get one more on my team, but it's just that you're out to be a blessing to people who are out and about and around you. Because the things that we have available to us have to do with being able to bring people along. They may not know it yet, but you know what? This might be what they're looking for, being a part of something that's bigger than we're going to describe to them. And you have an opportunity, because I know everybody on this team is that's here today is looking for increased income. So right now, between previously to April 12th, there's an opportunity to earn $250 bonus for developing a first generation one-star director. What is that? That's a personal person that you hear their heart, you help them go one-star manager, you start doing the same thing with their people, with them, duplication, you bring them to 2-star manager, 3-star manager, and then the 1-star director. There are so many things available to them at that point for 1-star directors. So again, I want to remind everybody too, I'm not hearing much from you all, but we're serious about this. This is an opportunity, this challenge for everyone who is on our live Zooms up until February 22nd to get your name in a hat for a $500 cash drawing that will be announced on March 2nd. And that has to do with you sponsoring an advance package with monthly subscription, or that you advance a rank. So this is something that is a gift from us. This is not corporate. So this is something I just can't challenge you enough. Please take advantage of this. I can't put my name in the hat, but right now, my name should be in the hat. And I know there's a lot of others. And somebody said the other day, well, they're wanting core. Okay, then talk that through with them just a little bit more about the value of the pricing, the value of being able to tell people that that might be looking for the same thing you're going to be experiencing or you're looking for, that they can get started today and you'll loan them a sleeve. So having that inventory, it could be it could be the main thing for you. And don't forget, there's not one person hearing this or the recording that is not able to earn Honolulu. Now, I don't care where you are. There are points that come from you rank advancing. There are points that come from your personals rank advancing. There are points that come from signing up a preferred customer, from helping your new people get enrolled. All of this is going to give you volume. You can be there. We want you there. If you need help, we're here to help. We want everyone to earn and go with us. So if there has been anything in your mind that you're feeling like, I don't know if I've got a chance, that's a lie. Dump it. Claim and proclaim what is available to you. And your new people can earn this trip so easily. So as you're helping people get started, throw this out. Throw out the ways to earn income in the first 48 hours, getting their first two. There are ways to earn from $25 to $50 by getting their next two people. Because as you're doing that, it's going to help them see what's available to them, and it's going to not only bless them, it's going to bless you, and it's a team effort all the way around. So don't lose sight. There's so many things that are available to us. And right now, if you have not enrolled for Unstoppable, please contact me or Jen's or your sponsor, because I cannot even emphasize enough the incredible value. Lynn, you could probably talk an hour on this. You have so much experience. Patty, you're the same. Darcy and Jim, I mean, everybody on here. The incredible benefit that the convention is going to bring us by bringing not just ourselves, but our teamwork. There are people setting a goal for 100, 200. You know what? Set that goal, but you have to lead to set the example. So don't underestimate, and even like where your finances might be right now. Please, 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 just talk to us about this. We so seriously want every single one of you and your teamwork with us on that trip. Don't be left out. And if there's something that's like you're dealing with mentally, physically, financially, make it known. Make it known. We are here for everyone on this screen, everyone listening that are leaders. We're here to help all succeed. So please don't keep it inside. If there's something you're needing support in, tell us. Tell us. We want to see this happen. We want to see you succeed because we know you can. And probably last but not least, please take advantage tonight. You all, you know the power of Lynn and Guy Millette leading a Zoom. You know it. Pack it out. If you can't be there, just get your guests on and let us know who they are, and we will do our best to include them. We will have a short presentation. I think Lynn and Guy are going to try to do it within a maximum, I mean, of 30 minutes.
Right.
They're going to briefly share some things about the business that they've had before and some physical and different testimony. But what we're going to do is record that. And then as we stop that Zoom, we're not going to go into all of the other announcements, but we are going to let them share their testimony at a deeper depth, unrecorded. And then we will open up for Q&A. So please, 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 I'm feeling like we're not probably taking as much advantage of these Zooms as we should be. Why are Jens and I doing a Monday and a Wednesday right now? The reason is you all the people we're touching, all the people on our team, to help open a door with your upline to get get you in position for Honolulu, and that you can bring your new people on and get them started quicker, that they can qualify too. That's the only reason we're doing 2 Zooms a week. Only reason. And leadership is stepping up. Jim Widman's coming on Monday night to do with Jens. If you know, yes, Darcy, woohoo! And if men that are like, you know, kind of hanging, get them on with Jim and Jens, because they're going to be excited to hear about them and what they're going to share. And, you know, my goodness, Jim carries so much leadership. Lynn and Guy carry so much leadership. All of you do. And we're getting you out there so that your teamwork, you can use that recording to share. And then your teamwork can use that recording. It could be your bridge that you're using right now. So I'm going to just stop the recording, but God bless you all. I will just thank you for being with us today. And let's take contacting and inviting to a brand new level using what Lynn and Patty have shared with us today.